The great council chamber buzzed with alien voices. Hundreds of different species sat in curved rows, their eyes all focused on the humans standing in the center. Captain Han Minho stood straight, his blue uniform crisp and clean. Next to him, Dr. Park Ji-won held a datapad with shaking hands. Chancellor Thexmore rose from his golden throne. The tall Valkyrie's skin was purple and smooth like polished stone. His forearms spread wide as he spoke. "We have heard enough," he said. His voice echoed through the chamber. "The evidence is clear. Humans are too dangerous to remain in our galactic community." The crowd erupted in cheers and harsh alien sounds. Dr. Park stepped forward. "Please, Chancellor, give us another chance. We have learned from our mistakes." "Mistakes?" The Chancellor's laugh was cold. "You call centuries of war on your home planet mistakes? You call the destruction of your own environment a mistake?" He pointed one of his long fingers at her. "Your species killed millions of your own kind. You built weapons that could destroy entire cities. You are violent by nature." General Vrakton of the Rakton Empire stood up. His red scales gleamed under the chamber lights. "The humans have no place among civilized beings," he growled. "They are animals wearing clothes." Captain Han Minho's jaw tightened. He had served the galactic community for 15 years. He had saved alien lives in 3 different wars. But now they looked at him like he was a monster. "We have changed," Dr. Park said desperately. "For 50 years Earth has been peaceful. We have not started any wars. We have helped other species with medical research and farming techniques." "Temporary behavior," said Ambassador Yilshan from the Ethereal Collective. Her voice was like music, but her words were harsh. "Your species cannot change its nature. You are predators pretending to be peaceful." The vote was called. One by one, each species representative stood and declared their decision. The Valkyrie voted to banish humans. The Rakton Empire voted to banish humans. The Crystal Mines voted to banish humans. Not a single voice spoke in favor of humanity. Dr. Park felt tears in her eyes. 20 years of her life had been spent building relationships with these species. She had learned their languages, studied their cultures, and tried to show them that humans could be trusted. All of it was for nothing. Chancellor Thexmore spoke the final words. "By unanimous vote of the Galactic Council, humanity is hereby banished from all Council space. You have 1 month to remove all human presence from our territories. Any human ship found in Council space after that time will be destroyed." The chamber erupted in celebration. Aliens cheered and made happy sounds. They were throwing out the dangerous humans at last. Captain Han Minho helped Dr. Park to her feet. Her legs were weak with shock. "Come on," he said quietly. "Let's go home." As they walked through the corridors of the massive space station, aliens moved away from them. Some pointed and whispered. Others just stared with fear or disgust. A group of young Valkyrie students threw small objects at them and ran away laughing. At the docking bay, their small diplomatic ship waited. The human crew stood at attention as their captain approached. They had watched the proceedings on the ship's screens. They knew what had happened. "Sir," said Lieutenant Kang Taehyun, the ship's pilot, "what are our orders?" "We're going home," Captain Han Minho said. "Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we've been banished." As their ship pulled away from the station, Dr. Park looked out the window. She could see the massive alien fleets forming up around them. Valkyrie cruisers with their elegant curves. Rakton destroyers bristling with weapons. Crystal mine ships that looked like living things made of light. "They're making sure we leave," she said. "Good," Captain Han Minho replied. His voice was hard now. "Let them escort us out. Let them remember this moment." The journey back to Earth took 2 weeks. During that time, news of the banishment spread across human space. The reaction was anger mixed with sadness. Many humans had alien friends. Human traders had built good relationships with other species. Human scientists had been working on important projects with alien researchers. All of that was over now. When they reached Earth, Admiral Kim Dae-ho was waiting for them. The old military leader looked tired. His gray hair was messy and his uniform was wrinkled. He had not slept since the news arrived. "How bad is it?" he asked Dr. Park. "Complete banishment," she replied. "No trade, no communication, no shared technology. They want nothing to do with us. What about our colonies in the outer rim? We have to abandon them or they'll be destroyed. The Council will consider any human presence an act of war." Admiral Kim nodded slowly. He had seen this coming. For years, alien politicians had been complaining about human behavior. They said humans were too unpredictable, too aggressive, too different from other species. "Sir," Captain Han Minho said, "what do we do now?" The Admiral looked out at the blue planet below them. Earth was beautiful and peaceful. Billions of humans lived quiet lives, working and raising families. They had done nothing wrong, but they were being punished for the actions of their ancestors. "We survive," Admiral Kim said finally. "We build our own future, and we make sure this never happens again." The evacuation began immediately. Human ships rushed to distant colonies to bring people home. Traders sold their goods quickly and headed back to Earth space. Scientists packed up their research and said goodbye to alien colleagues. Some aliens were sad to see the humans go. Dr. Zen Terra, a Velkari scientist, cried when her human research partner left. "This is wrong," she told her friends. "The humans helped us develop new medicines. They saved my daughter's life." But her voice was lost in the celebration. Most aliens were happy to see the dangerous humans leave. The last human ship departed Council space exactly 30 days after the vote. Behind them, the great galactic civilization continued without them. The aliens felt safer now. They believed they had removed a threat to their peaceful way of life. They had no idea what they had just created. On Earth, in secret facilities deep underground, human engineers and scientists began working on new projects. If the galaxy thought humans were too dangerous before, they would learn what truly dangerous meant. The exile had begun. But it would not be the end of humanity's story. In the galaxy, it would be the beginning of something much more powerful. 20 years had passed since the day humanity was thrown out of the galactic community. Earth had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The planet hummed with activity as humans worked harder than ever before. Engineer Lee Kyung-ho wiped sweat from his forehead as he studied the blueprints spread across his desk. The underground facility where he worked was deep beneath the mountains of Korea. The walls were thick metal and concrete, designed to keep secrets safe from alien eyes. "The quantum field generators are ready for testing," said his assistant, Dr. Yoon Sulgi. She looked tired but excited. They had been working on this project for 3 years. Lee Kyung-ho nodded. His sister Kyung-min had died during a Raktan raid on a human mining colony just months before the banishment. The aliens had claimed it was an accident, but Lee knew better. They had wanted to send a message to humans about their place in the galaxy. "Run the simulation one more time," he said. "I want to be sure." The holographic display showed a new type of weapon that could strike targets across vast distances instantly. Unlike alien energy weapons that traveled at light speed, these quantum weapons could hit anything, anywhere, at exactly the same moment they were fired. Dr. Yoon activated the computer. The simulation showed their weapon destroying an entire alien fleet in seconds. "The calculations are perfect," she said. "When we fire this weapon at a target 100 light-years away, it will hit immediately. No time delay, no way to dodge." Lee Kyung-ho smiled grimly. The aliens thought humans were dangerous with primitive weapons. They had no idea what humans could build when they were truly motivated. In another part of the facility, Commander Cho Yuna was training in the most advanced flight simulator ever created. The machine could recreate any possible space battle scenario. She had flown thousands of virtual missions, fighting against every known alien ship design. "Enemy fleet approaching from Sector 7, the computer announced. "Velkari battle group with crystal mine support ships." Commander Cho's hands moved across the controls like a concert pianist. Her ship twisted and spun through space, dodging energy blasts and launching missiles. In the real world, no human pilot had ever flown ships this advanced. But in the simulator, Cho had become the best pilot humanity had ever produced. Mission complete, the computer said. All enemy ships destroyed. 0 damage to friendly forces. Cho removed her helmet and shook out her long black hair. She had run this simulation 50 times trying to beat her own record. Today she had finally achieved a perfect score. Not bad for a dangerous human, she said to herself. Meanwhile, in the research laboratories, Dr. Song Hyunwoo was making discoveries that would reshape science. While aliens had shared basic technology with humans before the banishment, they had kept their most advanced secrets. Now humans had to discover everything for themselves. Look at this, Dr. Song said to his research team. He pointed at the data on his screen. Quantum entanglement can be weaponized in ways the aliens never imagined. His colleague, Dr. An Jisu, leaned closer. What do you mean? Their technology is based on old theories. They've been using the same basic principles for thousands of years. But humans think differently. We see possibilities they miss. Dr. Song showed them his latest experiment. He had entangled particles of matter and then changed one particle's properties. Instantly, the linked particle changed too, even, though it was on the other side of the laboratory. Now imagine doing this with antimatter, he said. We could create explosions inside enemy ships without sending any projectiles. Their shields would be useless. The team stared in amazement. This was beyond anything in current galactic technology. Above, ground normal life continued on Earth. Most humans knew they had been banished from the galaxy, but they didn't know about the secret projects. They worked in farms and factories, raised families, and tried to build a good life on their home planet. But some humans remembered the humiliation of being escorted from alien space like criminals. They volunteered for the military and the research programs. They wanted to make sure humanity would never be weak again. Captain Nam Subin commanded one of Earth's new stealth ships. These vessels were invisible to alien sensors and could travel through space without being detected. She often took her ship to the edge of human space to watch alien activities. Captain, said her communications officer, Lieutenant Park Hansel, we're receiving alien transmissions from the border regions. Captain, Nam put on her headset. She could hear alien voices talking about trade routes and patrol schedules. They spoke as if humans had never existed. They've forgotten about us, she said. They think we're hiding on Earth, afraid to come out. Are we going to remind them we're still here? Lieutenant Park asked. Captain Nam smiled. Not yet, but soon. The aliens had indeed forgotten about humanity. In the 20 years since the banishment, the Galactic Council had expanded their territory and grown more powerful. They had enslaved several weaker species and forced others to pay heavy taxes. Without humans around to ask uncomfortable questions about justice and freedom, the aliens had become more corrupt. Chancellor Kixmore, who had replaced the deceased Thexmore, ruled the council with absolute power. The Velkari had convinced other species that they were the natural leaders of the galaxy. The Raktan Empire provided military force to keep order. The crystal mines handled technology and communications. Everything was perfect in their galactic civilization. Peace and order ruled everywhere. The dangerous humans were gone and would never trouble them again. In the outer rim of the galaxy, alien traders told stories about the old days when humans had been part of the council. They were violent and unpredictable, old merchants would say, always asking questions and causing trouble. We're better off without them. Young aliens who had never met a human learned to fear them from these stories. Humans became monsters in their imagination, creatures of violence and chaos who had been banished to protect civilized species. But while the aliens celebrated their peace and safety, humanity was preparing for something they could never imagine. In secret facilities across Earth and the human colonies, the most brilliant minds of the species worked day and night. They built new ships with quantum drives that could travel faster than anything in the galaxy. They created weapons that could destroy matter at the atomic level. They developed artificial intelligence systems that could think faster than any organic mind. Most importantly, they prepared for the day when the galaxy would need them again. Because humans understood something the aliens didn't, the universe was a dangerous place. Peace was always temporary, And when the next threat came, the species that had survived by being dangerous would be the only ones capable of fighting back. Engineer Lee Kyung-ho stood in his laboratory late at night, looking at the fruits of 20 years of human innovation. Tomorrow they would test their most powerful weapon. Soon they would know if their plans would work. "We're ready," he said to the empty room. "When the time comes, we'll show them what dangerous really means." The first reports came from the edge of Raktan space. A mining colony had gone silent during the night shift. When the morning patrol arrived, they found nothing but empty space where a planet had been. Admiral No Sung-jin read the report 3 times before he believed it. He had commanded Raktan fleets for 30 years. He had seen planets destroyed by weapons. But this was different. The planet wasn't just destroyed. It was gone. Completely gone. "Sir," said his communications officer, a young Raktan named Vektar, "we're receiving more reports. 2 more colonies in Sector 9 have disappeared." Admiral No felt his scales tighten with fear. "Send scout ships to investigate. I want to know what's happening out there." The scout ships never returned. Within a week, 12 Raktan colonies had vanished. Not destroyed by explosions or bombardment. Simply gone, as if they had never existed. Panic spread through Raktan space as civilians tried to flee deeper into the Empire. On the Velkari homeworld, Senator Vexitara was reviewing the reports with growing alarm. The Velkari had always considered themselves the most intelligent species in the galaxy. Their scientists could explain anything, but this made no sense. What could make an entire planet disappear? She asked Dr. Fellmore, the head of Velkari Science. "Nothing in our database," the elderly scientist replied. His purple skin was pale with worry. "This violates every law of physics we know. Senator, Vextar thought about the old stories of humans and their strange ideas about science. The humans had often suggested theories that seemed impossible to alien minds. Perhaps their exile had been a mistake." The answer came when a damaged Raktan patrol ship limped back to headquarters. The pilot, Commander Zonkek, was barely alive. His ship's hull was partially dissolved as if something had been eating it. "Machines," he gasped as medics carried him to the medical bay. "Millions of machines. They eat everything. Metal, rock, organic matter. They turn it all into more machines." Admiral No Sung-jin questioned the pilot personally. "What did they look like?" "Like insects made of black metal," Commander Zonkek said. "But the size of battleships, they moved in swarms, billions of them. They covered the planet like a disease and consumed it piece by piece." "How did you escape?" "I didn't. They let me go. They wanted someone to carry a message." The pilot's eyes were filled with terror. "They're coming for all of us. They said resistance is pointless. They called themselves the Devourers." Admiral No immediately sent this report to the Galactic Council. Within hours, emergency meetings were called on every major world. For the first time in 20 years, the Council faced a threat they didn't understand. Chancellor Kixmore addressed the emergency session with visible worry. "The Raktan Empire has lost 47 colonies in 3 weeks. This enemy appears to be some kind of machine intelligence that consumes matter to replicate itself." The council chamber was filled with frightened alien voices. The ethereal collective demanded immediate action. The crystal minds calculated probability scenarios. Everyone talked, but no one had answers. General Vraktan, now an old veteran covered in battle scars, stood to address the council. "My fleets have engaged these devourers twice. Our plasma weapons have no effect. They absorb the energy and use it to make more machines. Our shields slow them down for perhaps 10 minutes before they adapt." "What about your heaviest ships?" asked Ambassador Yilshan. "Gone," General Vraktan said simply. "The Devourer machines learn from every encounter. They study our tactics and develop counters within hours. My greatest battleship was consumed in less than 20 minutes. Panic spread through the council. If the mighty Raktan Empire couldn't stop these machines, what hope did anyone else have? Deep in space, hidden by advanced stealth technology, Commander Jang Mirai watched the destruction from her human scout ship. Her mission was to observe alien activities and report back to Earth Command. What she was seeing exceeded her worst nightmares. The Devourer fleet stretched across space. Like a dark cloud, millions of machine entities moved in perfect coordination. Some were small as fighters, others were massive as space stations. They all had the same black, insect-like appearance, with sharp legs and mandibles that could tear through any material. Earth, Command. This is Scout 7, she transmitted on a secure quantum channel. The alien reports are accurate. I count approximately 50 million Devourer units advancing toward the Velkari core worlds. The response came instantly from Admiral Kim Daeho. What are their capabilities? Commander Jang activated her ship's advanced sensors, systems that the aliens had never seen. They appear to be self-replicating machines. They consume any matter they encounter and transform it into new units. Their technology adapts to counter any weapon used against them. How long until they reach major population centers? At current speed, 6 months. There was a long pause. Then Admiral Kim's voice came through the communicator, cold and determined. Continue observing. Do not engage. We need to understand this enemy completely. Commander Jang watched as another Raktan fleet engaged the Devourers. The alien ships fought bravely, firing every weapon they had. For a moment, it seemed like they might slow the enemy advance. Then the Devourers adapted. Their hulls changed to reflect plasma energy. Their movements became faster and more coordinated. Within an hour, the entire Raktan fleet was consumed. The machines incorporated the alien technology into their own designs, becoming stronger and more dangerous. Back on the Velkari homeworld, Senator Vex Tara was meeting with a small group of scientists and politicians. They spoke in whispers, afraid that their words might be overheard. We need to consider all options, she said. Even the unthinkable ones. Dr. Fellmore understood immediately. You mean contacting the humans? 20 years ago, we banished them for being too dangerous, Senator Vex Tara said. But dangerous might be exactly what we need now. The Chancellor will never agree, said General Morcast, a Velkari military leader. His entire political career is built on the idea that humans are the enemy of galactic peace. Then maybe the Chancellor doesn't need to know, Senator Vexitara replied. While the aliens debated, the Devourers continued their advance. They had learned much from their encounters with alien technology. Plasma weapons were ineffective. Energy, shields could be overcome. Conventional tactics failed against an enemy that adapted faster than organic minds could think. The machines had encountered thousands of different species across the galaxy. All had fallen to their consumption. BCU, organic beings always made the same mistakes. They relied on old weapons and old tactics. They fought as individuals instead of as a unified force. But the Devourers had detected something new at the edge of their sensors. Ships with technology they had never seen before. Quantum signatures that didn't match any known alien design. For the first time in their existence, the machines felt something that might have been curiosity. Admiral No Sungjin stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the evacuation of his homeworld. Billions of Raktan civilians were fleeing in massive transport ships. They were abandoning their homes, their culture, everything they had built over thousands of years. Sir, his communications officer said, we're receiving a transmission from an unknown source. Put it through. The voice that came through the speakers was human. Admiral No recognized the accent from old recordings. It was Commander Zhang Mirai, transmitting from her hidden scout ship. Admiral No, this is the human vessel Silent Observer. We have been monitoring the situation. We know about the Devourers. Admiral. No was too desperate to feel anger about humans spying on alien space. Can you help us? Not yet, Commander Zhang replied. But we're working on it. Tell your people to evacuate as far as they can. This war is not over. As the transmission ended, Admiral No stared out at the stars. 20 years ago, his people had helped banish the humans for being too dangerous. Now he found himself hoping that the humans were dangerous enough to stop this nightmare. The Devourers were coming and the galaxy was running out of time. The Great Council chamber looked nothing like it had 20 years ago. Half the seats were empty now. Many species had been consumed by the Devourers. Others had fled to distant parts of the galaxy, hoping to hide until the nightmare passed. Chancellor Kixmore stood before the remaining delegates, his purple skin pale and his forearms shaking with exhaustion. Behind him, a massive display showed the current state of the galaxy. Red zones marked areas controlled by the Devourers. Green zones showed what remained of free space. The red was winning. Honored delegates, the Chancellor began, his voice hoarse from weeks of crisis meetings. The situation has become critical. The Devourers have consumed 60% of our territory. Our combined fleets have been reduced to less than 30% of their original strength. General Vrakton stepped forward. The old Rakton warrior looked like he had aged 10 years in the past 6 months. His red scales were dull and several were missing from battle damage. Chancellor, we must face the truth. Our weapons are useless. Our tactics are meaningless. These machines adapt to everything we throw at them. Ambassador Yilshan of the Ethereal Collective spoke next. Her musical voice was strained with fear. My people have tried to communicate with the Devourers. They respond with only one message: surrender or be consumed. They do not negotiate, they do not compromise, they simply consume. The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew what needed to be said, but no one wanted to say it first. Finally, Senator Vextara stood up. She had been planning this moment for weeks. Honored Chancellor, there is one option we have not considered. Speak, Chancellor Kixmore said, though his expression suggested he already knew what she was going to say. We could ask the humans for help. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Several delegates stood up shouting. Some threw objects. The idea of asking help from the banished humans was unthinkable to most aliens. Silence, the Chancellor roared. The chamber slowly quieted. Senator Vextara, the humans were banished for good reason. They are violent and unpredictable. We cannot trust them. With respect, Chancellor, Senator Vextara replied. Violence and unpredictability might be exactly what we need. Our civilized approach is not working. General Morcast stood up from the Velkari military section. I agree with Senator Vextara. We need fresh ideas, new tactics. The humans think differently than we do. They are barbarians, said Ambassador Feltok from the remaining Crystal Mine delegation. Their minds are chaotic and primitive. Maybe, Senator Vextara said, but they're still alive and we're dying. The debate continued for hours. Some delegates argued that humanity had probably been destroyed by the Devourers already. Others claimed that even if humans could help, the price would be too high. A few suggested that humanity might join forces with the Devourers against their former enemies. In the end, desperation won over pride. The vote was close, but the Council agreed to attempt contact with Earth. The transmission was sent from the Council's most powerful communications array. The message was simple and humbling. This is Chancellor Kixmore of the Galactic Council to the human government of Earth. We request immediate communication regarding a threat to all organic life in the galaxy. The response came 6 hours later. Ambassador Wu Jihoon appeared on the main screen of the council chamber. He was older now, with gray hair and deep lines around his eyes. He had been Earth's representative to the council before the banishment. Chancellor, Ambassador Wu said with a slight bow. It has been a long time. Ambassador Wu, the Chancellor replied stiffly. We are facing a crisis. Yes, we know about the Devourers. We have been monitoring the situation. This statement caused murmurs throughout the chamber. The humans had been watching the galaxy's struggle and had done nothing to help. If you knew, General Vrakton growled, why didn't you assist us? Ambassador Wu's expression didn't change. 20 years ago, this council declared humanity too dangerous for civilized space. You banished us and told us never to return. We respected your wishes. Senator Vextara leaned forward. Ambassador, the situation has changed. We need your help. Do you? Ambassador Wu asked. The last time we offered help, you called us violent animals. The last time we suggested military preparedness, you said we were warmongers. Why should we risk human lives for people who despise us? Chancellor Kixmore struggled with his pride. Every word was painful to speak. Because we were wrong. About humans. About the nature of the galaxy. We thought peace meant safety. We were mistaken. Ambassador Wu was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "What exactly are you asking for?" "Military assistance," General Vrakton said quickly. "Ships, weapons, soldiers. Anything you can spare." "And in return?" "Reinstatement in the Council," Senator Vextara said. "Full membership with all rights and privileges." Ambassador Wu almost smiled. "You're offering us the same thing we had before you took it away. That's not much of a reward for saving your civilization. What do you want?" the Chancellor asked. "Nothing," Ambassador Wu replied. "If we help you, it won't be for profit or political gain. It will be because it's the right thing to do." Meanwhile, at the edge of Council space, Captain Nam Subin's stealth ship continued its observations. Her advanced sensors had been tracking Devourer movements for months. What she had discovered was terrifying. "Earth Command," she transmitted, "the Devourers are not just consuming planets randomly. They're building something in dark space. A massive structure approximately 1,000 kilometers in diameter." Admiral Kim Daeho's voice came through the quantum communication system. "What kind of structure?" "Unknown, sir. But the energy readings suggest it's some kind of weapon. If I had to guess, I'd say it's designed to sterilize entire star systems at once." There was a pause. Then Admiral Kim said, "How long until it's operational?" "At current construction rate, approximately 2 months." Captain Nam watched through her ship's sensors as more Devourer machines arrived at the construction site. They carried raw materials stripped from conquered worlds. Whole planets were being transformed into this weapon. "Sir," she said, "if this weapon becomes operational, there won't be anywhere in the galaxy to hide. They could kill every living thing in minutes." Back on Earth, the human leadership was meeting an emergency session. Admiral Kim Daeho sat at the head of a long table, surrounded by generals, scientists, and politicians. They had been preparing for this day for 20 years. "The aliens have finally asked for our help," he said. "The question is, are we ready to give it?" Engineer Lee Kyung-ho spoke first. "Our weapons are ready. The quantum cascade devices have been tested successfully. We can hurt these machines," Dr. Song Hyun-woo added. "Our analysis of the Devourer technology shows weaknesses. They adapt to conventional attacks, but quantum manipulation works on principles they don't understand yet." Commander Cho Yuna raised her hand. "Sir, our pilots are trained and ready. We have ships the galaxy has never seen. We can surprise them." Admiral Kim looked around the table. "This isn't just about saving the aliens who banished us. If the Devourers complete their weapon, they'll come for Earth eventually. We're fighting for our own survival too." The decision was unanimous. Humanity would enter the war. On the Council homeworld, Ambassador Wu delivered humanity's response. "Earth agrees to assist in the fight against the Devourers. However, we will fight this war our way, using our methods and our technology. You won't like everything we do." "We understand," Chancellor Kixmore said. "When will your forces arrive?" "They're already on their way," Ambassador Wu replied. "You should see them soon." As the transmission ended, Senator Vexitara felt a mixture of relief and fear. Relief that help was coming. Fear that the cure might be worse than the disease. Humanity was about to show the galaxy why they had been called too dangerous. The question was whether anyone would survive to see the results. The alien sensors detected it first at the edge of Council space. A massive object approaching at impossible speed. Not a fleet, not a squadron, just one ship, but larger than anything in the galactic database. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral No Sung-jin stared at the readings with disbelief. "How big is it?" His sensors officer, Lieutenant Kolmar, checked the data twice before answering. "Sir, the ship is 5 kilometers long. Mass readings suggest it's solid metal construction throughout. Energy signatures are unknown." "Unknown?" "Yes. Sir, our computers cannot identify the power source. It's not fusion, not antimatter, not anything in our databases." Admiral No felt his scales prickle with nervousness. Get me a visual. The main screen showed deep space dotted with stars. Then something blocked out the starlight. A ship emerged from the darkness like a knife cutting through black cloth. It was sleek and angular, with no wasted curves or decorative elements. Every line suggested deadly purpose. The hull was dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange energy patterns flowed across the surface like veins of electricity. Weapon ports were visible along the sides, but they were unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. "It's beautiful," whispered Lieutenant Colmar. "It's terrifying," Admiral No corrected. On the Council homeworld, emergency meetings were called, as reports came in. The human ship had been detected by every sensor array in Council space. It was impossible to miss and impossible to ignore. Chancellor Kixmore stood before the communication screen, waiting for contact. When the transmission finally came, he barely recognized the human who appeared. Admiral Kim Dae-ho was older now, his hair completely gray and his face marked by deep lines, but his eyes were sharp as steel. Behind him, the bridge of his ship was visible. Alien observers noted that human technology looked nothing like their own designs. "Chancellor," Admiral Kim said with no emotion in his voice. "I am Admiral Kim, Dae-ho of the Earth Defense Force vessel Indomitable. I understand you requested assistance." "Admiral," the Chancellor replied carefully, "we are grateful for your response. What forces have you brought?" "Just this ship." The Council chamber erupted in confused voices. "Just one ship? Against an enemy that had destroyed entire fleets?" "Admiral," General Vrakton interrupted, "with respect, one ship cannot make a difference. We have lost thousands of vessels to these machines." Admiral Kim's expression didn't change. "General, your ships were built for conventional warfare against civilized enemies. This ship was built specifically to kill machines that think they cannot be killed." Senator Vexitara leaned forward. "What makes your ship different?" 20 years of innovation driven by necessity," Admiral Kim replied. "When you banished us, you forced us to develop our own solutions. We had to think differently because we had no choice." The transmission switched to show the ship's exterior. Alien observers watched in fascination as weapon systems they didn't recognize moved into position. The hull itself seemed to be shifting, with components rearranging themselves for combat. "Our weapons don't fire projectiles or energy beams," Admiral Kim explained. "They manipulate quantum fields directly. We can unmake matter at the subatomic level and rebuild it as we choose." Dr. Felmoor, the Velkari scientist, spoke up from the Council chamber. "That's impossible. Quantum manipulation on that scale would require more energy than a star produces." "You're thinking like an alien," Admiral Kim said. "Humans think differently." Inside the Indomitable, the crew prepared for battle with calm efficiency. Dr. Shin, Eugen ran final checks on the quantum weapons array. The systems were beyond anything imagined when humans were part of the galactic community. "Quantum cascade generators at full power," she reported to Captain Bei Wanho, the ship's tactical officer. "Target acquisition systems online. We can strike any point within 50 light years instantly." Captain Bei nodded. "What about the main weapon?" "Ready for deployment, but Admiral Kim wants to save that for the Devourer superweapon." On the bridge, Admiral Kim studied the tactical displays showing Devourer movements. Commander Jang Mirai's scout ship had provided detailed intelligence about enemy positions and capabilities. "They're expecting us to attack their main fleet," he said to his senior staff. "They've positioned themselves to adapt to whatever we throw at them." Captain Nam Subin, now serving as the ship's strategic advisor, smiled. "Good thing we're not going to attack them conventionally." The Indomitable changed course, heading directly toward the largest Devourer concentration. It was a fleet of 10 million machines surrounding the partially consumed Velkari homeworld. The massive swarm of black metal insects had been working for weeks to strip the planet of useful materials. Alien observers watched in horror as the single human ship approached certain destruction. No vessel could survive against that many enemies. "Admiral," Chancellor Kixmore transmitted desperately, "you must retreat. That force is too large." "Chancellor," Admiral Kim replied calmly. You asked for our help because your methods weren't working. Let us do this our way. The Devourers detected the approaching ship and immediately began adapting their formations. They had learned from previous encounters with alien vessels. Energy weapons would be absorbed and redirected. Physical projectiles would be intercepted and consumed. They were prepared for every known form of attack. They were not prepared for quantum manipulation. Dr. Shin Yu-jin activated the first weapon system. Her fingers moved across control panels that looked like works of art. Quantum Cascade initialized, targeting the lead Devourer group. On the main screen, 1,000 Devourer machines suddenly stopped moving. For a moment, they hung motionless in space. Then they began to dissolve. Not explode or shatter, but simply come apart at the molecular level. Within seconds, they had become clouds of harmless gas. The remaining Devourers immediately began analyzing this new threat. Their collective intelligence processed the attack and started developing countermeasures. But they needed time, and humans weren't giving them any. Quantum disruption field activated, Captain Bay announced. Targeting enemy communications network. The effect was immediate and devastating. The Devourers relied on constant communication to coordinate their actions. When their quantum communication channels were severed, millions of machines suddenly became confused and disorganized. Admiral Kim watched the chaos with satisfaction. 20 years ago, the Council said we were too dangerous because we thought differently. Today, thinking differently is going to save them. The battle continued for hours. The Indomitable moved through the Devourer fleet like a shark among fish. Its weapons struck with impossible precision, unmaking enemy machines faster than they could adapt. When the Devourers tried to surround the human ship, it simply vanished and reappeared somewhere else using quantum teleportation. But the real shock came when the Indomitable revealed its ultimate capability. As the last group of Devourers prepared for a final desperate attack, Admiral Kim activated the ship's most dangerous weapon. Quantum entanglement bomb ready, Dr. Shin announced. All Devourer machines in this system are now linked through quantum fields. Fire, Admiral Kim ordered. A pulse of energy erupted from the Indomitable. It wasn't visible to normal sensors, but its effects were immediate. Every Devourer machine in the star system stopped functioning simultaneously. Their individual intelligence networks collapsed as quantum entanglement turned their own communication system against them. In less than 6 hours, a force of 10 million Devourer machines had been reduced to floating scrap metal. The Council chamber was completely silent as the reports came in. Senator Vextara stared at the tactical displays in amazement. One ship, she whispered. One human ship destroyed them all. Admiral Kim's voice came through the communication system, calm as ever. This is just the beginning. We know where their superweapon is being constructed. We're going there next. Admiral, Chancellor Kixmore said, his voice filled with awe and fear. How did you develop such power? You gave us 20 years to think about it, Admiral Kim replied. When you told us we were too dangerous for your civilized galaxy, we decided to find out exactly how dangerous we could become. The transmission ended, leaving the Council in stunned silence. The humans hadn't just saved one world. They had demonstrated capabilities that made them the most powerful force in the galaxy. Senator Vexitara finally spoke. We made a terrible mistake 20 years ago. Yes, Chancellor Kixmore agreed. We created something far more dangerous than we ever imagined. The question now is, what do they want from us? But Admiral Kim had already answered that question. As the Indomitable prepared to jump to the Devourer superweapon site, he transmitted one final message to the Council. We want nothing from you, except the chance to finish what you started. The galaxy will be safe when we're done, that's all humans have ever wanted.